Hi everybody. It has been a very long time since I filmed a video for this channel. Partly that's because a lot of my content has been focused on gardening and, well, the fall and winter months are not the most exciting times for being out gardening. Also, I'm a mom and I work full time. And so the holidays, which coincide with that same window of time, the fall to winter season, are very busy for me. So that's life. Took a little bit of a break, mostly because of the gardening, but also because I changed jobs this fall. It turned out really awesome. I was ready for a change, really ready to try something different, and had a great opportunity come up for me to get back into my field, which is awesome. But it took a lot out of me. It's been 5 years since I changed jobs, so that was a lot of effort to figure that all out, navigate all the paperwork and whatnot, but I'm really grateful to have the opportunity that I have right now. But it has also meant kind of recalibrating, thinking about how to add more rest and joy into my life, because a new beginning is always a great opportunity to do things a bit differently. So that's like a little mini life update for me, but also the thing is, I already bought all my seeds. I already bought almost everything that I want for the garden this year. And I've been getting the bug, getting that feeling like, ooh, it's time to start really planning the garden, dusting off all my seed trays and getting ready for the next growing season. And I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't reached out to you guys in a while, and it's time to do that. So that's a little bookend here for the video I wanted to show you today. I'll go into a little more detail once I get down to the desk view to show you how I'm doing my paperwork for planning for the next garden season. But I just wanted to touch base first, like give you a little sense of like why it's been a minute, why it's probably going to pick up a little bit here now that I'm settled into a new job, now that it's past the holidays season. Maybe some of you can relate to how crazy that time is. For me, literally the day after, I don't even think it was the day after. I think while the kids were opening their presents, I was already starting to think about seed sales and thinking a little bit about the garden. So it's time. It's past time. So let me share with you how I go about reflecting on last year's garden so that I can make better decisions, theoretically better decisions, so I can make some more mindful decisions about what I do in the garden this year and see what new lessons I can learn, what new adventures I can go on. So come along with me. Let's check it out. Okay. All right. So what I am hoping to do today is take you through what in the past I've done mentally, but this year I wanted to get a little fancier. It's one of those things where like one craft, decorative, creative planning, merges with garden planning, and I wanted to see if I could mix the two together. And actually, this is going to be a threefer because in my day job, I work in software development, in IT, and something that we do on a regular basis there to learn lessons, reflect on the past, iterate, and become more productive in the future is a thing called retros, or retrospective, where you look back over a period of time and reflect on a couple things as a group usually, but I'm going to do a one-woman retro today, and it's going to be, as you might be able to see on my glittery title here, my Garden 2022 Retro. Ideally, I would have done this throughout the summer because I've been trying to remember everything that happened, and that's a little difficult when it's literally the next year that I'm filming this on the 2nd of 2023, but I'm going to try my best. Anyway, one thing that I did was make this beautiful layout for myself using my Cricut Explorer to make myself a pretty little final format for my retro, including glitter ink, which maybe people will see, which is real shiny. But honestly, the way this starts is in this super sophisticated format, at least how I've seen physical retros done. Usually we do it like on a website, but for Post-it notes, the ideal brainstorming tool. Here, I'm gonna move this over a little bit. The categories of a retro that I've led other teams through in the past I find useful is a couple different props. What went well? Let's see. Oh my gosh. I have so many Post-it notes. So I'm going to try to find, oh yeah, we're close. I can tell based on the titles. Okay, so what went well? What didn't go well? A next time category, like based on reflections from what went well and what didn't go well. What do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? And then finally, honestly, this title has, this category kind of changes over time. It's just however, I like to leave space for final thoughts. Where is it? Oh man, Post-it notes. Am I right? They're so great. Oh, where is it? Look at me looking through all these Post-it notes, trying to find it. Yeah, there we go. Stretch goals. What are the things that maybe I'd like to try to get to if I can, but it's not necessarily critical? This is my chance to dream a little bigger and not necessarily bite off more than I could chew. So those are my glamorous stretch goals. But again, this is not the most aesthetically pleasing format, and that's just how my brain works. I like to make things pretty. So you can see them here on my template. What went well, what didn't go well, next time, and stretch goals. That's how we're going to organize it. The reason I've been shuffling about 5 million different Post-it notes here is because I sat down at my kitchen table and just started writing down a thought for every Post-it note, on every Post-it note for things that fit one of these prompts. Although admittedly, the stretch goals that kind of came at the end where I had ideas inspired by these two that I was like, we'll see. So what I'm going to do, I think, is maybe I'm going to try out talking through what some of these are, and then I'll make a prettier version here at the end and probably put chapters so you can skip to that if you want, but I feel like I can't pretend like it started out this pretty. I like tools that let you get ideas captured quickly. Post-it notes are one of my faves. Shout out, if you love Post-it notes, shout out in the comments what you use Post-it notes for in your life. Because of course, I think for many of us, it started out with school or with work. But before you know it, Post-it notes are ruling your life. Okay, so let's see. I did have these in some kind of, oh yeah. Did have these in some kind of order. Just let me kind of, I think I've almost got it. Almost got it. Because my goal right now is I'm just trying to get the 4 stacks. Okay. Here we go. So, things that went well. The geraniums on my front porch. This is their 2nd year growing. I stored them out over winter. I stored them over winter and then repotted them this summer, actually in the spring, and they looked glorious. And they look glorious through all the heat we had. So that's something that went well. I'll probably do again. I used my green stock this year, my vertical green stock, vertical planter called brand name green stock, to plant a whole bunch of herbs. And frankly, it was really easy. Even though I didn't use a lot of them in cooking, just having them to be able to smell and prune and just enjoy was lovely and easy. So that went well. Oh, that's a twofer. Funnily enough, usually this happens in a team. 2 people will be thinking the same thing, but apparently my brain was thinking the same thing twice. So yeah, the geraniums were great. want to keep doing more of them. They seem to like this climate and they don't mind the heat. Coleus. Coleus are the best. I have videos of growing them from seed. They are super cheap when you grow them from seed, and they certainly love the heat. They would get a little wilty when they needed watering, but they bounce right back. So lots of color for very little effort. Always good to do coleus in my garden. All right, another winner that has been a past winner as well is marigolds, especially this year. The Tiger Eye strain of marigolds was really pretty on my front porch. Again, took the heat really well, easy to start from seed. Definitely going to do more of that again. And of course, I can't forget to mention my roses. They did not mind the heat at all. They actually seemed to love it dearly. Maybe it helps that most of them are not in containers. They are in the ground, so they were able to get enough water and stay hydrated. But they just looked fabulous this year. And in general, they seem to be getting really well established. So kudos there. Although I can't get too many more roses. I'm running out of space. Okay. Now we get to the things that weren't fun. I actually want to start with the bigger ones. All right, so first off, way too hot out. My petunias that usually are a great performer, for example, in this climate, I'm in Michigan, Zone 6B. Usually they're amazing. Easy to start from seed, lots of different colors. But with it being as hot as it was, it seemed like they either got stunted very quickly or just didn't bloom much. It was a rough year for the petunias in particular, but also in general as a gardener. I felt like I wasn't necessarily caring for my garden as much as I would have liked. Part of that was that it was just so hot out that I often just didn't want to go out there. I wanted to stay in my air conditioning and hope for the best. Maybe get out in the mornings if I could to water, but that was hard to do. So that was a big one for what didn't go well. Oh, and here's the big other big one. They're not all this big, but work burnout. I pushed myself really hard in the job that I've had since like not the beginning of COVID, but I changed roles later in 2020. And it was amazing in many ways, but I also eventually burnt out. This summer, I just kind of hit my wall and felt like I needed to get a change going. So I changed jobs, which meant there was a lot less time for gardening this summer because I was making a major career transition and also just trying to chill out, both literally with it being so hot out, but also because the kind of patterns that kept me sane during quarantine did not necessarily keep me sane long term. Who can relate? Shout me out in the comments because I doubt this is just me. But anyway, that affected my gardening. I didn't get out as much into it as I would have liked. And the combination of it being hot meant this really was a year that I didn't feel like I was in my garden the way I'd like to be. All right, now for some less existential things that didn't go well. I started big blue salvia from seed this year, and they bloomed really late. Now they're perennial, so I'm going to give them a chance if they come back where I planted them next year. Maybe it'll be a different story, but I was kind of disappointed. I had them in my containers, and usually I buy really big blue salvia to give me a nice show all summer, and I didn't get much of a show until the very end, and that's just too late for me. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Lesson learned. I like to do bulb containers that I plant in the fall, like plant some containers full of daffodils, tulips, etc., and then store them over the winter. Well, this last winter, I forgot to put them in the garage. They were stored outdoors, and either that, the fact that they got really cold and maybe froze a bit, got frost damage outside, combined with it being so freaking hot, even in springtime, meant this was a real disappointment. This year I've already done better. I put them in the garage. So fingers crossed, at least that part will help. But again, gonna keep an eye on it. It didn't go well. Oh, Dichondra Silver Falls. This is a lovely draping filler that I normally have to shell out a lot of money for. And growing them from seed actually wasn't that hard, but they were really skimpy. I think the problem was I need to plant multiple plants closer together, not thin them out into individual plants. So this is another, good to keep an eye on it, and see with one more year if I can do a better job. Because it's nice not to have to buy the plants as they're grown. All right. Back of the garage garden got sad. That's usually where I have my tomatoes and beans. Wow, I just didn't want to go back there. It was so hot this year, and I didn't want to haul the hose back there, and so a lot of things dried up and just didn't look great. So I kind of ignored it. Bummer. And final thing for what didn't go well was that building stuff didn't get finished. My husband and I worked on building a gravel walkway this summer in the backyard because we have dogs and they have torn up all the grass. But we didn't quite get done with that. Again, it was super hot and I was burnt out. And same thing goes for a raised bed that we made with cement planters and at the corners and then lumber in between. We got it most of the way there, but we didn't quite get it finished. So a little bit of a bummer to not have it done, but you know what? We made great progress. Okay, so those are the two big categories, what went well and what didn't go well. The two smaller ones, thinking about what I want to do next time. There's going to be some little thoughts that have actually come up as I've been talking about it here that I'm going to try to capture. Mainly things that did really well. I'm going to keep buying more of them if they are starting from seeds. That can help inform my seed shopping. But then building stuff, things that didn't go well. So there's some things that I want to try again, like the Dichondra Silver Falls. Things that I want to try again this year. So I will buy more seeds, but want to keep an eye on. Things like that. Okay, but we're not quite done with El Retro. Next time. Okay. This is where it gets kind of fun. Like, what do I want to do differently? So I have these vertical pouches, these pouches called owl's pouches for planting things vertically along the rose border. And I've always done petunias in them, but I'm thinking this year I might try some sort of greenery, something very vigorous that can help make that more of a green wall, because the roses are really filling in and I don't feel like I need more flowers up there. It's almost like I need something to set them off. I'm thinking maybe like some really bright chartreuse sweet potato vine, something that'll really love the heat and just look luscious. So that's something I'm thinking about for next time. Let me move this just so I can keep my next time. This is a big one too, along with maybe starting less petunia seedlings next year. I think I'm just going to buy tomato seedlings, and maybe the same with beans. You don't really need that many plants. And I really didn't get to enjoy a lot of these things. And so I'm thinking maybe, the beans I'll probably still consider just buying because I direct sow, but I won't start tomato seedlings. I always end up with too many anyway, which is a blessing, but still. Probably going to do that a little differently this year. Here's a fun one. I had such a great time with planting herbs in the Greenstock vertical planter that I think this is my triple plus herbs. I think I'm going to double down on herbs. I also most definitely bought a second Greenstock when it went on sale. So I'm going to have plenty of space for that kind of stuff. Up here, if any of you follow Roots and Refuge, their channel, Roots and Refuge Farm, Jess has been talking about making basil tea as something that she had been doing and learning about this last season. And I thought, boy, that sounds good. I've really gotten into tea since I work from home so much. It's nice I can make my own blends and things like that. I thought that would be a lot of fun. And I like basil in general because it smells good. It does great in the green stalks. So let's do it. Yeah. And yeah, finish that darn walkway, finish the raised bed. I keep trying to pick up bigger projects, elsewheres in the garden, but I really need to finish the things that I started. And I think that's possible with a little less burnout, and maybe if we get to it before it gets too hot in the summer, I think we might be able to get that done. And of course, there's more raised beds that I would like to make, but at least getting the first prototype done and seeing how we like it would be great. We're in the home stretch. Stretch goals. Okay. My mom will be familiar with this begonia from seed. She had a couple begonia plants in her garden this summer that did really well in the heat and just looked super, super good as like a very structured border plant. And I thought that could be fun. So I'm going to look into this. I'm not committing to starting begonia from seed. Side note, my my dear friend who angel readings, who does psychic readings, told me that begonia is my like soul plant. So I've been buying more houseplant begonias, and this could be fun to get some of my soul out there outside. We'll see. Okay, and then last one, I keep trying to get to this, is some sort of irrigation prototype. I have a nice small garden. It's a blessing that it's really not that hard to water everything, but it does take time. And I forget. So like to help with human error, and also just sometimes I just don't feel like it. I was curious about trying out some irrigation systems, maybe for behind the garage. I feel like that could be a good place because it's so sunny that the margin for error is pretty small to keep it watered in the heat. So that's it. That is my garden 2022 retro. I'm gonna go and make this pretty, but I'll probably stop talking and just like make it happen. The reason I did this with my Cricut, like the Cricut has the ability to hold a pen and like draw stuff for you, is that as you can tell from my Post-it notes, my handwriting is not nearly as pretty as glitter pen with like cool fonts and stuff. So I'm going to transition it over, and then I'll just show you how I stick it in my planner. And yeah, then from there, it's all about really diving deep into the new garden for 2023. So let's get started. That the written portion is done and the reflection is done, now it's time to gild the lily for sure, and add some stickers and washi tape. I've been waiting to use some of these greens, a little thin one, thicker one with some cool texture, and this nice neutral brown one, kind of give it that garden vibe. And then literally I picked up a sticker book called Gardening, maybe for this purpose. I don't know. I don't really need an excuse. So anyway, this is probably where I'm going to speed up the camera, but I'm going to line up the things that I think would be cute for this vibe, just to give it a little more color. So stay tuned. All right, from brainstorming with a bunch of random post-it notes to a really pretty planner page that I can keep and look at and reflect back upon as I move into the 2023 growing season. It's a lot of fun. Again, how did I do this? Post-it notes, Agile software delivery method planning, where we do a retro of what went well, what didn't go well, what I'd like to do next time, and stretch goals. Made it pretty by having my Cricut machine write out all this beautiful lettering for me, because you can see my handwriting isn't illegible, but it's not nearly as pretty yet. I'm working on it. And then some pretty stickers and washi tape just to give it a little more color and glam. So that's it for now. I'll let you know if I decide to do, let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video, because I could do a similar thing for what I want to do in the garden in 2023 in more detail, like what plants I want to grow. Or maybe I'll do more retros as the garden progresses this year, instead of waiting all the way until winter to try to remember what happened. We'll see. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you enjoy this, if you have any questions, because it's my joy to mix and match all these different creative elements into one thing that I really enjoy. Okay, one last thing I forgot to show you is just how this fits into my disc-bound happy planner. Because by now you already know how to make this whole thing. I put this right before January, because that's where we are in the planner. Over here I have my one little word for 2023, which is softness. I wrote all kinds of things, went completely overboard with the squishmallow squishmallow stickers. And it was a little bit of a puzzle, because I realized I'd already decorated kind of the cover board for January with more squishmallows, but this is where it fits. So I'll be able to refer back to it in January as I start buying all my seeds. But yeah, that's how I kind of keep it all bundled up in my little, well, this is a big happy planner, but that's what I've been doing to stay a little sane. Ah, these crazy dogs. Say hi, Harley. Say hi, Lucky. Oh my god. Okay. Bye. All right, so that is a little bit about how I plan, well, really get ready to plan. It's like planning before the planning. A little bit about how I reflect on last year's garden, and what I want to do differently for this year. Like I mentioned, I actually already bought all my seeds this year, so I would love to do a seed haul video with you all to give you a sense of how I translated this retro into my next year's collection of bulbs and seeds. Let me think. Anything else? Mainly, oh yeah, I'm trying to get better about this in 2023. Please, if you like my content, please like and subscribe so that I can stay in contact with you. Like I said, the gardening season is going to start to simmer up into more activity, more videos, I promise. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to go in 2023, and we're really just getting started. So happy New Year to everybody. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.